Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video I've brought out two lenses with me, two 50mm lenses. I've brought out a Nikon AIS F1.2, fantastic lens if you like shooting wide open, and I've also brought out with me a Nikon F1.8 plastic, fantastic lens. Difference between the two: this one's better quality, this one is less quality than this one. This one's cheaper, this one's more expensive. But how do they hold up in the real world? So I'm going to walk around this woodland area and I'm going to take some photographs with both of these lenses, and we'll see the difference between the two, wide open and also sort of at their sweet spots as well. So I've collected a lot of 50mm lens for various cameras over the years. Some are fast, meaning they can open up to f1.2, and others are slower lenses, meaning that their apertures only open up to f3.5. And I took an old Chinon 50mm f1.7 lens, the 50mm Nikon plastic fantastic f1.8, and a Zeiss Milvus 50mm f1.4. And I took photographs of this Rubik cube on the lens's widest aperture. Noticed how the older Chinon lens ghosts around the edges, and noticed how the Nikon lens also ghosts. But notice how clean the Zeiss Milvus is, and look at the colour fringing around the edge of the yellow tile. This is where more expensive lenses excel. But if we look at each photograph without pixel peeping, you'd be hard pushed to tell the difference. And if we shoot black and white, the colour fringing isn't so obvious. And things get better with all three lenses set to f16. The competition is quite close, but we can still see the colour fringing on the yellow tile. But again, in black and white, it's not an issue. So you can see there's not much difference between all three, unless you really go in and start pixel peeping and really, you know, who's going to do that? Once you've made a print, who's going to do that? Especially if you're shooting black and white, you're not going to get all that fringing, that sort of funny purpley goldy looking edges on some of the cheaper lenses in black and white. It will just look a little bit dreamy, a little bit ghosty. So you know, I think those lenses are fantastic, and they're so inexpensive to pick up. And if you haven't got a 50mm lens in your kit bag for any of the cameras that you've got, certainly have a look, because I think it'll open a whole new world of photography for you. So I'm going to do my first shot, which is this tree here, but I'm going to stand over where the camera is so you can see the angle that I'm getting. That's a 40mm lens on the camera. This will be a 50, so I'm going to stand over there and take this shot. This is what I'm taking a picture of, this tree. It's in nice light, and I'm going to shoot this at f1.2 on this lens, which is its widest aperture. And then I'm going to switch over to the plastic fantastic lens, and I'll shoot that on its widest aperture at f1.8. And we'll see what happens to this area and beyond as well. So I'm probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 meters away from that tree. So we'll just take this shot. It's a nothing shot, but it's just a test. We'll try and focus. There's my focus point, f1.2, and it's given me just over 1/500th of a second. I'm on aperture priority, by the way. That's that taken. I'll now switch over to the plastic fantastic lens, and this time the shutter speed is just under 1/500th. So that's 2 shots done. Let's try and find something more close. So although I'm comparing the two lenses, this one is more expensive than this inexpensive plastic Nikon lens, doesn't go to say that this lens is no good. It's just this one's built better, it's got more glass, and it's got a wider aperture as well at f1.2. This one is perfectly a good lens at 1.8, and there's many 50mm lenses, 50mm at 1.8 lenses out there that are inexpensive and really good lenses, especially for black and white photography. With the colour photography, you'll notice, like I showed you, the colour fringing, you know, but with the black and white, it can just give sometimes a little bit of a creative ghosting wide open. But as soon as you start closing the apertures down to their sweet spots on these lenses, they're absolutely perfect. They're fantastic for a variety of different subjects. So on the left I've got the Nikon f1.2 lens, and on the right the Nikon f1.8, and instantly, if we side by side, you can't really see a difference in either of them. In all honesty, if I was to print those 10x8, you probably wouldn't see much of a difference. But you only notice the real difference when you zoom in. If we look at the f1.2 lens, you can see how sparkly and dreamy it is compared to the f1.8. Well, it would be, because it's a more open, wider aperture. And it's not easy to focus with such wide apertures on a scene like this. I think I missed my target of the tree and managed to hit the tree in the background. Or it could be my glasses, I don't know. Don't trust me with an air rifle, for God's sake. Now, they say that a lens's sweet spot is generally 2 stops down from its wide opens. And in this case, for this plastic fantastic, it will be f4. Well, it's down for you to test its lens sweet spot and see, you know, where you think that's going to be. So I'm going to shoot another 2 shots now, same again, this time at both 5.6. So f5.6, and we'll do the same shot again. And we'll do the same 5.6 on the other lens. And there you go. And this is where things change with a more closed aperture at 5.6. I can barely see much of a difference other than, excuse the way that these photographs were cooked in 510 Pyro. I think I should have dropped the development time, but you can see my point. And if we zoom in, it seems like the 1.2 lens is a little bit sharper at 5.6 than the Plastic Fantastic. I don't know if that's my focusing. Maybe I nose that one up here, I don't know. And especially if we go up in the trees, you can see it in the background there. But in the real world, if I was shooting this scene, I wouldn't be at 5.6 unless I wanted some sort of blurry background or whatever. On this scene, I'd probably be around f11 if I was shooting this in the woods. Let's find something closer. So we've got some of this creeping ivy on this tree here. So let's go for a shot with that. So they've both got 2.8, these lenses. Let's do 2.8, 1/25 of a second. There you go, 2.8. And we'll do the same on the Plastic Fantastic f2.8. There you go, 2.8 with that one. And this was super bright conditions. I had this camera on aperture priority as well. So again, this is f2.8, and you can see it's a nice photograph. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And we look at the other Plastic Fantastic lens. That's at 2.8. Nothing wrong with that at all. You'd be hard pushed to see the difference between the two of them. And another scene that I took a photograph of here. Again, you wouldn't be able to tell which was which. And another photograph of this log sitting on the floor with all the moss on it. Again, you wouldn't be able to tell which lens was which. They both hold up really well. But what I do find interesting is when you take photographs such as this one here, this was the f.2, wide open at f.2, and look how sort of dreamy the whole thing looks. If you just look, it's sparkly, it's dreamy, it's given this nice sort of different look and feel about this black and white picture. Whether you like it or not, it's there. Some people will, some people won't, but it's certainly interesting to see. And also the f1.2 has got more aperture blades than the f1.8 plastic lens. You can see how the bokeh looks in the background shimmering off that car. The f1.2 is more circular, whereas the f1.8 lens is sort of more hexagon and jagged. But to be honest with you, unless you're shooting stuff for glossy magazine covers or clients for their websites or product photography or whatever, where absolute quality matters, then these lenses are absolutely fine for your everyday 50mm use. So I've now switched over to the 50mm lens, the Plastic Fantastic on the street, and I want to shoot some stuff at f8 and just do some normal street photography. That's the aperture that I normally use, f8, when I'm doing any street. So let's just do some normal street on a 50mm and see how it comes out. So I went around the streets and I was just using the 50mm lens, the f1.8, the Plastic Fantastic, which is actually on that camera at the moment, recording this little piece of the video. And you know, none of these shots, there's nothing wrong with any of these shots at all. And when you think of the cost of that lens, I think you can now pick them up for about £50 or £60, and possibly the Canon version as well. They look all right, there's nothing wrong with them at all. This was shot at what, f8, and another shot here at f8, you can see how bright it is, and another street shot here. So these were all shot at f8 as I was walking around the streets. And I was just firing off just general photographs of whatever was going on around me. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice these are the pictures that I put on Instagram earlier in the week. I particularly like this one here, this funky looking lady walking past with the red, she had a red beret on. She looked quite wacky. And at this point, I was just using up the end of the film because I feel like I'd done what I wanted to do. But you can see the perspective that the 50mm lens gives you. It's such a versatile lens for this sort of photography. It really is. It's light and it's, you know, it's compact as well. It's not like having a big zoom lens on or any heavier lenses. It's just a nice compact lens for street photography. You can see how. You can see these portraits here of this window cleaner Dave who I bumped into. So this was the AIS 1.2 lens and this was the Plastic Fantastic lens, both looking really nice. Now this was shot at f1.2 and I wouldn't go less than f8 on the streets anyway, but I shot this at f1.2 from some distance and you can see how it's sort of softly focused on the man sitting down reading the paper and everything in the foreground and the background's out of focus. I don't really like that sort of street shot. If I'm going to shoot street, I want everything to be in focus as much as I can. So, you know, that to me, I wouldn't enjoy that, but it just shows that using the f1.2, what it can do. There you go. But I did find this interesting when I shot this lady walking past the railings, and then I focused on the railings purposely to throw her out of focus at 1.2, and that's the sort of look I got. So, you know, things like that can be really creative with a wide open aperture. And I would have got very similar with 1.8 as well. And then I went off into a church. I thought, we'll see what we can get away with in a church. I was shooting a 100 speed film this time, Delta 100. And I went inside a church and I knew that I had f1.8 or f1.2 to play with, so nice wide open apertures. And looking up at this stained glass window, you can see the perspective that the 50mm gets. It sort of compresses and gets right in on the action. I think it's just a brilliant lens. And I do like the 35mm lens as well. I love shooting a 35mm in between the 28 wide and the 50mm standard. I like using the 35mm at events as well. It just gives me a little bit of a wider coverage if I need to. But you know, I always carry the 50mm in the bag anyway, so I could just slip this on if I want to, you know, do some different stuff. But for portraits, it's always a 50mm and above. If I go for a 28mm lens for a portrait, it can look a little bit quirky sometimes if you wanted something different, but it doesn't really give a nice flattering look. And the same with the 35mm as well. I find it still distorts a little bit. So for portraits, a 50mm is perfect, and even beyond that. But as a standard portrait lens, 50mm is going to be fantastic if you're into that sort of photography. And even when I go through some of my older cameras, these view cameras, they're all got the 50mm lens as standard, well, most of them have anyway. 50mm on this one here. This view camera is a 50mm f3.5, so you know you're not going to get what's wide on the aperture. That would be more expensive lens. But these fixed lenses on these cameras are always sort of a 50mm as standard back in the day. Sometimes they come out like this Balder with a 45mm, which is another nice focal length as well, just a little tiny fraction wider than a 50mm. And you probably wouldn't see much difference. And again, you're picking up Olympus OM10s. These cameras, if you buy these with lenses, you'll often find there's a 50mm 1.8 with these cameras. And if you're new to focal lengths, here is a comparison of various focal lengths of different lenses. This is a 28mm lens, and as you can see, it's pretty wide, great for landscapes. A 35mm lens, then we've got a 50mm lens, an 85mm lens, 105mm lens, a 135mm lens, and finally a 180mm lens. And notice with each increase in focal length, you're compressing the scene. And on this chart, for me personally, you can see how I would use a 50mm lens. It's very versatile for much of my photography. Landscapes are entirely possible, but I do prefer wider lenses. And group shots of people can be touch and go with a 50mm lens. Depending on the size of the group, you may find yourself a long way away from the group trying to squeeze everyone in. But for small groups, it's fine. You might have a kit zoom lens such as this one, which is a 28 to 135 lens. And they're good lenses. You can get 50mm out of it, goes from 28 to 135, but you're not going to get the apertures, you're not going to get wide open on these. They're quite slower lenses. I think at 50mm, it's probably going to be something around f4, something like that. So they're not really fast lenses. So if I change from on the street and I go into a church and I need more light to come into the camera, it's not going to happen because this lens won't allow me to do that. But not only that, prime lenses, you have to work for your photographs. If you need to zoom in, you have to walk closer. If you need to zoom out, you have to walk back. With these lenses, you just stand on the same spot, zooming in and out. But with the prime lenses, you know, you work a little bit harder for your shots, but I find that more enjoyable. So yeah, that's my 2 cents worth on a 50mm lens. If you haven't got a 50mm and you're thinking of getting one, have a look around. You don't have to, you know, pay through the nose for them. There's a lot of inexpensive 50mm lens. It's a pretty standard lens. There's hundreds of thousands of them out there. 50mm, f1.8. It might not be the best wide open, but as soon as you start closing those lenses down to 5.6, if you're doing street photography, f8, you'll get some banging photographs. They are quality glass most of the time, especially for the Pentaxes, the Canons, the Nikons, the Minoltas, etc. The only thing I will say, if you're looking for a 50mm lens, is always try and get yourself a multi-coated lens. The lens is sort of 1950s and 60s, I think, pre-70s certainly. And then after that, they started putting coating on the glass, which stopped a lot of ghosting. It stopped a lot of chromatic aberrations. So a little bit like the glasses I've got on here, they've got some sort of coating on them to stop flares and stuff. So if you are on the lookout for lenses, have a look at the ones that are multi-coated. Sometimes it doesn't say it, but generally sort of throughout the 1970s onwards, most of the lenses were getting coated or multi-coated to stop any flares getting onto your pictures. And if you do end up loving the 50mm focal length, you can always upgrade to something later on with a wider aperture, better glass, and if you need to improve the quality or the standard of your pictures or prints. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video and it's given you an insight to the 50mm lens. If you've got any questions, you can email me. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you next time.